If ESPN fired me today, I wouldn't lose no sleep.
Kendrick Perkins said that on live television. Then someone walked on a First Take and left Stephen A. Smith completely speechless. And when the dust settled, nothing about the story was. This wasn't just TV drama. It was a moment everyone thought Kendrick Perkins might have gone too far. What started as a routine debate on ESPN exploded into something way bigger. A heated exchange with Stephen A. Smith had executives scrambling behind the scenes and fans asking one question: did Perkins just challenge the one voice you never go at? Then came the line that set the internet on fire: if ESPN fired me today, I'd lose no sleep in seconds clips, when viral headlines screamed Perkins fired and social media ran wild. But here's the reality: as of March 2026, he's still on air, still on First Take, still under contract. No suspension, no punishment, nothing. So why did people believe it? Because Perkins doesn't talk like someone who needs a job. He talks like someone who earned security the hard way. His story starts in Beaumont, Texas, where life hit early. His mother was killed when he was 5, his father absent. He was raised by his grandparents on a farm and turned to basketball not just as a game, but as a way out by high school. He was dominant skipping college and entering the NBA straight from a draft. With the Boston Celtics, he became a defensive force, not flashy, but feared a key piece of the 2008 championship team alongside Pierce Allen and Garnett in 2010. He suffered a
You know why? Because somebody in Boston would hire. If ESPN fired me today, I wouldn't lose no sleep.
Perkins is going after Smith, but it is playful. It is the kind of challenge that works because both men know where the line is. This wasn't the moment Kendrick Perkins crossed a line. It was proof he knows exactly where the line is. On First Take, the chaos looked real. Perkins talking over Stephen A. Smith, trying to cut him both loud, both relentless. But that's the formula, not conflict, but chemistry. They argue, they push, they entertain. And that tension is exactly what ESPN has been building for years. And Smith didn't shut Perkins down. He pivoted, even admitting soft spots in the debate, showing this wasn't personal, it was performance. Behind the scenes, Perkins isn't some guy on thin ice. He's been extended again and again, bigger roles, more shows, from NBA Countdown to ABC to First Take. By 2026, he's sitting on multiple renewals in just a few years. So when he says, if ESPN fired me today, I'd lose no sleep, that's not arrogance, that's leverage, that's a man who knows his value. The viral Perkins fired narrative was fake, but the controversy was real, just not where people thought. Because the moment that actually shook the room didn't come from Perkins at all. It came from Alexis Ohanian when the billionaire entrepreneur and husband of Serena Williams stepped on to First Take in October 2025. It wasn't for casual debate. It was personal. Months earlier, Stephen A. had made comments about Serena during a viral Super Bowl moment, and Ohanian came ready. This time, Stephen A. wasn't controlling the room. He was the one being pressed, and that's the twist. Everyone missed the loudest fights on TV aren't accidents or strategy. And the real power move isn't who talks the most. It's who knows they can't be replaced.
Stephen A., when the Warriors came into town, they played the Brooklyn Nets. Who was Stephen A. sitting next to with his legs crossed? Joe Lacob.
Smith's actual words said on First Take were that if his wife appeared in a performance trolling her ex, he would tell her to go back to that ex. He framed Serena's appearance as disloyalty to Ohanian. He implied the marriage was not worth preserving over it. Ohanian and Serena have 2 daughters together. They have been married since 2017. And Ohanian, calm, precise, unbothered, waited. Then October 9th arrived. Ohanian sat across from Smith on live television, and before break, he said this.
That's his partner.
Can I add
and
to
then
that?
you have to realize that. Then you have to realize. Hold on. He also has a soft spot in his heart for his brother Draymond Green, and God knows, we already.
Smith clarified he had been married before. Ohanian acknowledged it, and then delivered the line that became the moment. Hook first, chaos second, because what looked like a loud TV feud was actually a perfectly engineered illusion. The internet swore Kendrick Perkins went to war with Stephen A. Smith and paid the price, but that story never existed. The real explosion came from someone else entirely, and he didn't need to shout to shake the room. Enter Alexis Ohanian, calm, composed, and lethal with his words, sitting across from Smith on First Take. He didn't argue, he dissected, he laid down one simple rule he lives by. Speak where you built something real, and stay quiet where you have no insults, no theatrics, just precision. And suddenly the loudest voice on sports TV had nothing left to say. Why hit so hard? Because Smith had earlier stepped into Ohanian's marriage, commenting on Serena Williams and her Super Bowl moment with Kendrick Lamar, turning a cultural appearance into unnecessary drama. Ohanian didn't raise his tone, he raised a standard, and in doing so, he flipped the power dynamic live on air. Clips detonated across social media. Stephen A. folded, speechless on live TV. The labels wrote themselves, but here's where the machine twisted reality. Around the same time, Perkins dropped his viral line about not losing sleep. It fired two separate moments collided, and the algorithm stitched them into one fake narrative. Perkins attacks, Smith gets fired, chaos sells truth, doesn't always keep up. Reality check, Perkins still had his seat, his contracts, his platform, no firing, no meltdown, just noise fueled by timing and clicks. The real takeaway, this wasn't about shouting louder. It was about knowing when you shouldn't be speaking at all. And sometimes the most powerful takedown isn't a scream at silence forced in real time.
And Ohanian, well, he actually brought it up again recently with him live on the air. Look at what went down.
I think you had some marriage advice for me. Is that right? Or
well, you know what? Listen, I did it.
Smith chuckled. He tried to wave it off. He said headlines are headlines.
People, headlines are headlines.
You hadn't been married before, right?
I am married.
No, see. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because I give advice to plenty of founders who want to build billion-dollar companies. And the reason I do that is because I build billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
So I generally try to stay in my lane.
Smith went quiet. He muttered something about headlines. The segment cut away. Clips of the exchange spread across social media within hours. The labels people put on it were things like Stephen A. folded like fresh laundry.
The framing placed partial responsibility on the victim. The backlash was immediate. Co-host Michelle Beadle publicly called him out on social. Hook, this wasn't just hot takes, this was a pattern that kept crossing the line, and somehow kept getting rewarded. Stephen A. Smith didn't just spark debates, he sparked backlash after the Ray Rice assault case. He condemned the violence, then shifted into language many saw as blaming the victim. The reaction was instant. ESPN suspended him for a week. Rare territory for the network. He called it his worst mistake, then returned stronger and richer. Then came Shohei Ohtani dominating baseball, like a modern Babe Ruth, pitching, hitting, rewriting history. Smith criticized his use of an interpreter, suggesting it hurt the sport during a time anti-Asian hate. Was rising, backlash hit hard. He doubled down, then apologized. Ohtani kept winning MVPs unchanged. In 2016, he turned to Aisha Curry during the finals instead of discussing officiating. He lectured her behavior, praising Savannah James for staying silent. Social media erupted, no suspension. Followed by 2025, even LeBron James wasn't off limits as Smith questioned his parenting over Bronny James. The pattern is clear. Controversy isn't a risk, here it's the engine. And in this system, the louder the fire, the bigger the spotlight.
Employed the female members of my family, some of whom you all met and talked to and what have you, is that, again, and this is what I've done this all my life, let's make sure we don't do anything to provoke wrong actions.
Smith framed LeBron's social media exit, not as a response to his own scrutiny, but as a reaction to Bronny's struggles. He said publicly, I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this.
Necessary to be that way. Bronny James doesn't belong in the NBA. Not yet. Some people say never. I don't believe that.
Hook, this wasn't chaos at ESPN. It was a system working exactly as designed. Loud takes controversy, clicks, and zero consequences. LeBron James didn't keep it on TV. He pulled up courtside and confronted Stephen A. Smith face to face. Smith later admitted the dislike was real, then escalated things by threatening to expose personal info before walking it back. Then came Zion Williamson. Smith went nuclear on his weight, comparing his eating to addiction. The New Orleans Pelicans fired back publicly, using his own words against him. Smith doubled down, claiming he was bigger than anyone on a roster outside Zion. No suspension, no penalty, just more attention. Now zoom out, and you see the blueprint. The same machine protects Kendrick Perkins despite his own firestorms. His MVP comments about Nikola Jokic sparked accusations of racial bias. ESPN correct.
And the reason I do that is because I build billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
So I generally try to stay in my lane.
Wave it off. He said headlines are headlines. Smith was left muttering about headlines. And Ohanian walked off the set having said everything he needed to say calmly, publicly, and on the record. That is the story. Perkins is still at ESPN. Smith is still at ESPN. and the machine that turns every heated moment into a termination headline keeps running because it works. Thanks for watching. Subscribe this channel for more.